This is NDTV, and you're watching Classics.
Why do some people volunteer their time, money and energy serving others? People who work in NGOs for no financial reward. People who volunteer their time in suicide helplines. People who work in refugee camps, raise funds for the poor, perhaps even spend their time teaching underprivileged children. Who are these people? What drives them? Today we're going to look at some incredible stories of people whose focus isn't what's in it for me, but what can I do for them? In a small village near Nagpur, in a place called Tapovan, one man has chosen in life few others would. Sardar Bhagwant Singh Dalawari works with leprosy patients. He lives with them, eats with them, teaches them, even bandages their wounds himself. He has been doing this voluntary service for over 30 years. But that's not how life started out for him. As a young man, Sardar Dalawari was a high-flying foreign officer attached to the External Affairs Ministry. His work posted him all over the world to places like Egypt, China, Paris and Belgium. Fancy cars, Savile Row suits, jet-setting parties, that was his life. In his 30s, however, he began to feel restless, as if his life needed deeper meaning. The answer came in a dream, to do seva for those who needed it most. He dreamt that he needed to be working in a leprosy home, helping the poorest of the poor, the lowliest of the low. It felt like a calling. Some years later, he left his diplomatic career and spent 9 months training in the care of leprosy patients, after which he joined Tapovan, a colony of leprosy patients. He has been there for over 30 years now and is lovingly called Papaji by the 1200 patients who live there. Filmmaker Reema Anand, who has captured his life in an internationally acclaimed film called Seva, From Paris to Tapovan, says that what struck her most powerfully was how much love there was flowing around in Tapovan. By the caring way he interacts with patients and the love and respect they pour back into his life. Does this realization of wanting to give back to society strike you at some later stage, when you're much older and you've been tossed around by life? Think again. Today we're going to meet a very unexpected man who's been doing some amazing work for India. He's been called a change maker. He started 5 years ago when he was just 24. Anand Shah was born and brought up in the US. He studied at Harvard University, after which he began teaching biology in high school in Boston. At the age of 24, he gave it all up to come to India and set up Indicor in Ahmedabad. Indicor is an organization that invites and encourages young people in the US, UK and Canada to come to India and spend a year working for the country. So what exactly does Indicor do?
Primarily we promote the idea of giving back to India and then give people an opportunity to contribute to the country.
I feel like I've grown to understand who I am. I feel like I've grown to understand what I am, what my culture means to me, what this country means to me.
Mostly young Indian Americans, Indian British, Indian Canadians who are generally either straight out of college with some life experience and interesting summers, or people who have a couple of years of work experience. On average, I think the average age is probably 26 or 27.
So what do you think motivates them to come here and give up a year? You said it's a year that they would typically spend here?
Yeah, it's a minimum of a year. It's a good question in terms of what motivates them. I would venture to say that there are a few things. There is this desire. I think it's human nature to want to help other people.
My youth allows me to bring a lot of passion, idealism, and energy. Things that I fear may diminish over time if I don't take advantage of them now. Be the change that you want to see in the world. I believe that anything social service especially comes from within.
The second piece, especially with IndyCorps, is that people want to know where they come from. There's also this need for a lot of people to broaden their scope on what the world is about, which is that it's not just about earning money and following the footsteps in the rat race and all of these things, but that there are a lot of other things you can do, and they're viable options that have rewards in different ways, not just in terms of your pocketbook, but in terms of the type of enrichment that you get as an individual.
Do you have trouble finding enough people who may want to come here and spend time?
No. In fact, we have way more people than we do have places to send them. We have 15,000 people on the list that are of Indian origin from all over the world who have said, give us something to do, we'll come. We've had several from Ivy League schools, from Columbia, from Pennsylvania, University of Pennsylvania, from Harvard, from Boston University, from Caltech, from University of Illinois. Usually really, really good schools. They do work in all kinds of different fields. For instance, we're doing things with agriculture and Ayurvedic medicine. We're doing things with community resource mapping in a village where we're looking at natural resources and perhaps mapping the area. We have a project related to women's health and health services provision, usually with adolescent health as well. Education is a key topic almost always.
Do people stay out the entire year, or do they give up in the middle and say this is too hard, it's too hot, it's too dusty, and go back?
No one has left yet, so knock on wood. But they have stayed the entire year.
People around me are my people, and they are here for me in the same way that I am here for them.
Graduates from Harvard, Columbia, Oxford, spending a year giving back to their country, actually out there working, not just thinking about it, not just talking about it. There's something very powerful going on here. We'll be back after the break to see why they do it.